Well, Scott, thank you so much for being on this customer podcast highlight. We're gonna have some fun with this. I also need to make the audience mildly aware that you might have a mild bias towards Wedge, maybe as a company, but also you might have a certain individual in your life that we love and adore and as a part of our company. So would love to hear more about you, and also maybe you can share a little bit about your special tie to Wedge as well.
Sure. Yeah, actually, my tie to Wedge is my daughter Jess works for Wedge and absolutely loves it. It's been a great experience, and actually she's the one who kind of prompted me when I told her that I needed to hire somebody for a new position. She was like, "Hey, you should try Wedge." Because we're not a huge company. I mean, we're less than 50 employees, and fortunately we have pretty low turnover, so I don't have to hire that often. But I think that's also kind of an interesting thing. Actually, it's a lot of the companies, you think, okay, you got to be doing a ton of hiring to use something like this. But I mean, I hire like once every 3 to 4 years. And even for me, it was a fantastic platform to use and super easy. But yeah, she prompted me to jump into it. And so I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And so, since I hadn't done anything like that before, I was a little intimidated before I jumped in. But then, once I kind of got in there, and then also it was cool because, you guys have it set up so that immediately when I set up the account, I got an email from your team just kind of walking me through some stuff, just kind of going, hey, make sure you do this. It's your first time. Don't forget you do this. So that little checklist was awesome.
That's fantastic to hear. And maybe Jess will start bugging me on a commission check. She's about to learn what that's like to refer a deal. So
right.
That's awesome. Well, tell us, if you're okay with it, tell us a little bit more about your business.
Yeah, so I'm with Motiv Bowling. That's the M logo here. But we are a bowling ball manufacturer in Spring Lake, Michigan. And our background is we have been in the manufacturing side of things for years. We used to be one of the number one suppliers to Brunswick Corporation. And then several years ago when their corporate department in Illinois kind of had the directive to move manufacturing down to Mexico, that's when we started actually manufacturing our own branded equipment called Motiv. And so we've been in the business of making bowling balls since 2008. And wow. We now have the number one bowler in the world, EJ Tackett, on the PBA Tour, who throws Motiv. So it's been quite a change of events. But yeah, like I said, we're less than 50 employees, so we're a small business. And I typically am in the hiring phase, every 3 to 4 years. And so yeah, that's a little bit about Motiv. And I've been there actually. Oh man, I've been there for over 30 years. So
wow,
kind of dating myself a bit, but yeah, we had a little hockey business, and we also have another line of our company called Edgewater Industries, where we sell some chemical products for home maintenance to Lowe's and Home Depot and that type of thing. So I've been in the hockey business and the retail trade, and now we're selling bowling balls.
That's awesome. And what a fun niche. I mean, everybody in the world knows what bowling is. And then all of a sudden you just show up and there's bowling balls there and you have no idea how that process came to be. You have no idea what that looks like. And so that's awesome. So, for those that are tuning in outside of West Michigan is definitely a hub for manufacturing. And most people think furniture manufacturing or subsidiaries of some of the auto manufacturing. And yet there's this awesome little niche company that's doing bowling balls. So I guess for you guys, like what's the special, I mean, you've been there for 30 years, right? So what's the special sauce behind the company that makes it, an awesome place to work at, an awesome company? Just give us a little highlight around what makes it so special.
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, the owners of the company, it's a privately held company, of course. And the owners of the company are fantastic people. So the culture that we have there, everybody's very supportive of one another. It really is we have great camaraderie. It's really a huge team vibe. And I mean, I've been there, honestly, I started working there when I was in college, working in the factory. And then one thing led to another, and I've been there ever since. And it's just, the culture of the company speaks a lot to that. I mean, I wouldn't be there this long if it wasn't such a great company to work for. And so, and that obviously there's so many things that are top down, and so because the owners of the company are just such great people, very generous people. That trickles down through the whole company. So that camaraderie that they lead with, that teamwork focus that they have, kind of bleeds right down through the entire organization. So, but yeah, and as far as like the secret sauce too, as far as from the company side of things, more from, I guess, the HR standpoint, is we really do have the strong team focus. And so being able to use the Wedge platform to ask people some intentional questions as well, to kind of get into that team aspect in some of those Wedge interviews and find out, how people feel about working with a team, how supportive they are, times when they maybe didn't feel supported. Just being able to ask some of those questions to make sure that the person we were looking at was going to be a fit for our culture was really, really a big deal. That helped a ton.
That's amazing. And that's one of the questions I wanted to highlight. I mean, obviously you've shared a little bit about how Wedge has been a beneficial tool, but can you maybe speak to, I think this fall was your first time using Wedge. Is that correct?
Correct.
Actually, it was just,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, just this fall.
So what was maybe some challenges pre-using Wedge, and then all of a sudden you put Wedge into place, and maybe can you speak to a little bit of what that difference, maybe outcome or process or things that you guys noticed by putting Wedge in? Would love to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest with you, I didn't think that Wedge was going to help us out as much as it did.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear, by the way.
Yeah. But, the typical process, for me, what I really, to be honest with you, because we're under 50 employees, we're a smaller company, we all wear a lot of hats. I mean, you know how that is. And it's just, so the time commitment of hiring somebody, when I have so many other things going on, it was just kind of like, oh, I know this process. I'm going to be weeding through a couple of hundred resumes, and then I've got to make phone calls. And I'll tell you where it really saved me a huge amount of time is, there'd be a lot of times where I have a ton of phone calls scheduled to talk to people. And, sometimes you would be 10, 20 seconds into some of those phone calls, and this is not the person I want to hire. But How rude is it? I mean, it's just not in my nature. How rude is it to be like, all right, hey, I can already tell you're not a fit. We're done here. And
this is not going to work for you or me. Why don't we just cut it out? Yeah, you can't do that.
I mean, but it's just not in my nature. So it's like, I know that I'm going to be on this phone call for 10 minutes with somebody that I really have no interest in hiring now. So from that aspect, it saved me hours of time. But the one thing that I really didn't, I guess I should have understood it, but I didn't, was being able to see those Wedge interviews, kind of talking more to that cultural fit. I'm not kidding. The person we ended up hiring for the position, this sounds hokey, but he literally just said to me this week, he's like, I don't know what it is, but he said, this is the first time I've ever worked at a company where it feels like I'm home. Like this is where I was supposed to be. And part of that fit was being able to kind of get a feel for what people were like, answering those questions that we put in place so that we knew that they were going to be a fit for our culture. And it honestly has saved so much time, saved me hours of time. And, getting back to the whole point about hanging up on people after 10 seconds, the nice thing about the Wedge interview is it's a one-way video. So it's like I could literally be 10 seconds into some of the videos and go, nope. And it was so quick to just fire through and get rid of the people that you needed to weed out immediately.
That's amazing. I'm really thrilled that it worked for you. Obviously, that's why we're in business, is to provide opportunities like that. And so thank you both for giving it a shot. Also, when you were a bit hesitant too. So I really appreciate that too. So well, Scott, this has been awesome. Anything else you want to leave the audience with?
No, I just really wanted to emphasize, I know that your typical customer is probably, and maybe I'm wrong on this, I'm just making assumptions, but I would think that somebody who's hiring on a day-to-day basis, day in, day out, is obviously a great candidate for this. But, you're talking to somebody here who, we're under 50 employees. We have low turnover rate. And I'm only hiring, once in a while. But still, it was really easy for me to plug in, not being familiar with the platform. And within, a day, I had everything up and running. And, 2 weeks later, we had a fantastic hire. So
So
even
great.
for a company our size, it's a fantastic resource.
Well, that's music to my ears. That's awesome to hear. Well, Scott, this has been great. Thank you so much, and also thank you for an amazing daughter working with us as well. It's been a true joy, and I think she's enjoyed it. So we really enjoyed her part of the organization, a great team member too. So Scott, thank you so much for being on this podcast, and really appreciate you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Matt.